Hello, hello, beautiful ladies. I am so excited for our 2026 vision session and to spend the next hour and a half or so together. I would love to go ahead and get us going because there's lots of great stuff that I'm hoping that we get to interact on as well as work through for ourselves in this session. And I do want to start by saying, I'm so grateful that you're all here, that you're part of the community, that you're doing this kind of work. The world needs more women like you, it really does. And that our vision is never complete. So if you feel like you are, it might feel like you're behind, or you might feel like at the end of this session, I still don't have clarity around what it is that I want. That's totally and perfectly understandable and okay because honestly, my vision, it evolves based on how I'm feeling, based on what I'm experiencing. So I would just invite you, let whatever comes up for you throughout this session or whatever you've already had come up for you, just let it be. Just let it exist. Meet it with curiosity, meet it with hope, meet it with faith, and try to offer up some love if a mean girl voice tries to come in and something that you decide that you want really, you know, brings forward doubt. My mean girl likes to bring forward all my doubt. I'll think and dream of something that I want to create, and then mean girl jumps right on in there and says, "Oh, Michelle, that's ridiculous. You absolutely can't have that." And without that, how can I really have true hope? How can I really have true faith? So this will be as much as fits for all of you an interactive session, whatever that means for you. So if you would like to come on camera, I always love to see your beautiful smiling faces. You can always drop responses in the chat. There'll be a few opportunities to share as we go through it. And if you haven't gotten your workbook yet, there was one that was emailed out. Does everyone have access to that? Because I could drop the link in the chat again if not, or you can go through and get it. So pencil and paper works fine for this. Yet the workbook for me almost makes it, I don't know, feel more real, more of a process, all of that good stuff, right? So I love it. Okay, Chansey doesn't have it. Chansey, it's in our community. Let me grab the link and I'll go ahead and drop it in for anybody that doesn't have it. Give me just 1 second. There, anyone with the link? Let's see. Let's see if this works. Let's see if Michelle's technology brain is working today. See. Here you go. That should work. If not, let me know, but it should work. All right. All right. All right. You got it, Chansey, Shannon. All right. There we go. All right. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So I would love, I'm going to be letting ladies in throughout. So if I get a bit distracted for a moment, please forgive me. I want to make sure everybody can get in as we come and go. And there will be a recording of this for those of you that are in either of our school communities. That'll be accessible. So if you have to leave early or if you aren't able to capture something, it'll be in there for you for at least a few days. For the ladies in the group coaching community, my hope is that we continue to carry this vision process through with monthly integration sessions as well as we build on it. Because I think one of the things for me that really keeps it alive is building on it. Because I'll create the vision sometimes at the beginning of the year and I listen to it in my ear, yet I don't necessarily pick it back up. So I'm hoping throughout the year we'll have those monthly opportunities to touch base. And my guess is that there'll be all kinds of things that are coming true that we're not even realizing throughout the process. So, all right. So for those of you that just joined, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I am so happy that you're here. And there's something beautiful about women choosing to take time together, to reflect, to pause, to be intentional, to create our lives together, our hopes, our dreams, and hold that for each other. And it's a beautiful thing. So before we begin anything, I would invite you drop your wins in a chat because what we focus on increases. And celebration builds safety in our nervous system. And we have a lot of content today. So, and there will be a few opportunities to share throughout. Yet, I invite you to claim your wins in the chat, whatever that is, and I'll read them out loud and celebrate with you. And we'll save some of our sharing. I would love to save that for as we're going through some of the exercises in the book. Um, and gratitude also opens our heart. So there will be a part of this workshop, if you haven't had a chance to look through the workbook yet, where we have gratitude experience for what went well and maybe what we learned, right? What we learned throughout 2025 that we want to carry with us that maybe was even painful because I know it wasn't perfect for me. I don't know about you. Um, Yet there were a lot of things in that that as I move into 2026, I can look at it with hope and reframe it and see what I've learned and see where I've grown and reset from that perspective. And that's beautiful. And that acknowledgement, that shift from the pain to any kind of gratitude, for me, it helps me shift my identity. It helps me shift my focus. And that is always beautiful. And there's no wins that are too big or small. Every win, even if it's a win of like, I'm choosing to find my hope again, maybe it feels far away, that counts. Awareness counts, healing counts. So if you have a win you'd like to share, go ahead and toss that in the chat and I would love to celebrate it with you. Sasha says, my husband has been a lot softer with me. I love that, Sasha. That is absolutely amazing. You just keep getting hero treatment, more after each other. Is that amazing? I love it. I'm just celebrating you. How wonderful. Chloe says, I wasted my whole morning talking on the phone to my sister. Much needed girl talk. That doesn't sound like a waste, Chloe. That sounds like some social self care. So I'm celebrating that with you. There was no wastefulness in that, in my perspective. So, the dishes will wait, like whatever was on the plan, right? I always have this list. They're waiting for you, my guess is, unless a fairy, house support came in or whatever, and you got to have some much needed social self care. So beautiful. I'm celebrating that with you. And let's see. Chansey says we have had a rough in capital letters week. Oh, sorry, Chloe. I'm sorry, Chansey. I know what that feels like. I was questioning everything and all of the progress that we've made. Then I came home to roses and two special food items. Oh, Chansey, that is so amazing and so beautiful. I'm just celebrating with you. Yeah, those rough days where we start to doubt things, and we all have them. Then the days sometimes go into weeks, and I hear it's been a really rough week for you, and you were feeling down and sad and maybe a little bit hopeless and questioning things. And then your hero, he showed up. He showed up with those roses. And I know sometimes it's just something like that that just gives me that renewed vigor, that renewed hope, that remembrance of just how good things can be. So beautiful. I'm so excited for you. All right. So these types of wins, ladies, whatever they are, they can be big or small. It is about shifting our identity from a woman who is experiencing challenges right now. Not that we want to soft pedal those challenges. The challenges exist. I have to acknowledge them. But it's looking for the things that are also going right and then celebrating when something goes really right. And it's proof to our brains, to our nervous systems that the big changes, the big vision, it's already happening. And this workshop about vision isn't really about, I would invite us to look at it not about creating a perfect year or putting pressure on ourselves or trying to control or force outcomes. And it's not about making life perform for us. Like I can get into my vision and think, oh, I've got to just be better, right? I've just got to do it. I've just got to control it. And then I'm coming from a place of that pressure versus hope and possibility and curiosity and allowing things from a receptive point. Yet I have to put out there into the world, into the universe, into my prayers, whatever works for you, what it is that I'm hoping for as well. And as much as I can materialize that into specifics, which is what I hope to help us create today, the more that I seem to get the things that I'm really hoping for. So it is about, when we think about our vision, it is about alignment. shifting into the identity of the woman that has hopes and dreams, that sees the possibility, even if she doesn't see the roadmap right now, of those hopes and dreams coming true. As self trust, faith over fear, focus and intention over force or control, and becoming instead of doing, right? Like we're human beings, not human doings. So, because we don't really create our vision necessarily, we become the women that believe in that vision, that can receive that vision. And then, in some miraculous way, what I experience all the time is that life around me tends to respond. So, today is about becoming. And for me, our vision, it really isn't meant to begin on January 1st, and it's not meant to be rushed. I know I thought about, I had all this pressure leading up to January 1st where I was like, okay, I need to work. I need to work on what are my goals? What are my goals? And I had all the categories because I'm pretty focused like that. That said, when I think about it, that would have been rushing, that would have been forcing. And my vision is meant to be felt through, experience, evolve throughout for me. And it's not meant to just be a list of things to pressure myself to achieve. And your vision for yourself, I would invite you to look at it as possibly it's meant to be created as you're ready and built on in a continuous basis. So this process can be about finding images. If you like the tactical things, what you'll have at the end of this is, my hope is, how you want to feel about certain things, and hopefully some things that you want to create in your life that you can go in and you can have, you can create or find images for. But it can be about boards and aesthetics and visual reminders, but it's more about the frequency that we create. It's more about the identity. It's more about the feelings that we want to have and about who we want to or might need to shift into becoming in order to receive all of that, to attract it, to magnetize it. And what we believe we deserve shapes what we allow into our space to receive. So I want to say that one more time. What we believe we deserve, in my experience, shapes what we allow ourselves to open up to receive. Because if I am not believing in possibility, then how can it ever come and find me? So tonight, we're not building the plan for the year, we're building alignment. So if you've got your workbook, and if you don't have it, I dropped it in, but I can drop it in again. Just put it in the chat, and let's go ahead and get started. And for me, the way I did visioning this year was about looking at 2025, because it was a tough year for me. Looking at 2025 from what do I not want to carry forward for me? So if you would go to page 6 on your workbook, if it fits for you to follow it through, or I'll be sharing as we go along. I would invite us to begin with what's leaving. What do we need to let go or leave in 2025 in order to call in all the yummy stuff for 2026? Because for me, before we can create anything new, we need to honor what we want to leave behind, not from anger, not from resentment, but from learning, from honoring it. Also, not from shame or judgment or blame or even disappointment. And those are all valid emotions. I'm not saying they're not there. But if I carry those into 2026 with me, then what I recognize is that it slows down my ability to draw in the things that I want more of. So, and draw it in with maturity and softness and compassion and clarity, with self-respect and self-honoring, because not everything is meant to come with us. If something hard happened, it's okay for us to decide and honor it and to leave it as much as we can in the moment. 2025. So some patterns are, our own beliefs. They were our protection. Some identities were about coping and getting through something that was a hard season. And they kept us safe to some degree if we were repeating those patterns. But they don't have to be allowed to lead us forward into 2026. So here are some prompts to consider just as we go through this. What patterns that you've seen in 2020 or even before, because mine go way back, right? And I keep finding more of them. What patterns are you finished carrying? What are you done repeating? And, for me, when I think about this, it can be something even as specific as, and on let's see, page 5 and page 6, that's what this section is if you're following along. I need to decide what I'm releasing and what I'm keeping. So, what was working for me? So, if I think about 2025, gratitude worked for me. Beating myself up and putting a lot of pressure on myself to be perfect with the skills, all it did was put me into a big giant trauma loop for about 6 weeks last summer after things got hard. So, what am I trying to let stay in 2025? I would invite you to consider that for yourself. What emotional weight are you ready to release? Or maybe it's what beliefs no longer belong to who you want to become, or who you might see that you need to become more of, because she's in there. Trust me, she's in there in order to have the things that your heart, your soul dreams to call in. And what identities might you be outgrowing? And if anyone would like to share, I would, this is a beautiful place, either in the chat or say it out loud, claim it, that to really powerfully decide, like make a line in the sand. That doesn't mean I'm going to be able to change overnight sometimes, but the decision to stop carrying something is really the first place that I have to start. Let's see, we've got some shares. All right. Linda had a win. I'll do that one first really fast. He invited me to spend time in the basement. He said he likes being around me at the same time today. His comments threw my nervous system off track. I hear it's a roller coaster, Linda. And I just want to celebrate that this man just keeps softening. He's inviting you to spend time with him. I'm celebrating you. All right. Andrea says she's relinquishing control is working. I love that. So you want to take that with you, like of the things that you have no control over. And that is a hard one. I agree with you. She put in the chat that that's a hard one. And your decision that you want to do your very best to relinquish control and continue to do that. And it sounds like you see a lot of evidence, right? That might be working is beautiful. It's amazing. And that is the first part. That is absolutely the first part. And Chloe says she hears she hears Andrea that's a hard one. Yeah. Sasha, I'd love to hear. What are you leaving behind in 2025?
Hi, I couldn't
Hi.
message the chat. Um,
That's
I
okay.
think I'm gonna leave behind perfectionism because I'm pretty sick of trying to be perfect all the time and it doesn't really work ever. So I think I'm gonna relinquish control of trying to be perfect.
Oh, I love that. And I am celebrating that with you. Perfectionism is such a common wound that so many of us carry. And I love your humility. It's just not working anyway. It kind of, I am a recovering control freak, perfectionist, and and also martyr. So I can totally relate to this. And I love your decision that you want to let yourself be perfectly imperfect and that you're perfect just the way you are. So beautiful. Linda says, I wish to let go of fear. His comments keep putting me back on fight or flight. I want to be truthful about everything, especially asking to spend money on my mental health. He mocks me, disrespects me, so I keep shrinking. I am not sure how. Let me see. It's not cooperating with me. Let me move this up here. I am not sure how to work on it. Well, it sounds like, Linda, I hear how hard it is. And it sounds like you're already working on it because you've made the decision that you want to let go of the fear. And for me, fear that feels like it's been protecting me, or fear that feels big, right? It's like the lion or the tiger that's chasing after me. That that takes time. It takes one step and it doesn't take force. If I learned anything or was reminded, I knew it, but I needed to be reminded about it personally for myself last year, was that trying to force myself to do anything with the skills. was only going to create perfectionism, to what Sasha just said. I was trying to control it. And the fact that you are seeing so many beautiful wins, what I envision and my hope for you is that you'll see that confidence continue to grow. You'll see that own self-love, self-worth, and meet all of those things with kindness because you're worthy of that. You really are. Stacy says, I'm leaving behind control, resentment, and fear. Yay, I am celebrating that. I love it. Chloe says, I want to let go of fear, chasing, resentment, and raging. I hear you, Chloe. I hear, and I love how you phrase that. Like you're not expecting perfectionism out of yourself. You want to let go of it. And and you already are letting go of it. Stacy says, "Oh, I'm leaving behind chasing too." Good one. I love that. Nancy says, "I agree. Me too." Look at how many people you inspired, Chloe, by sharing. Thank you. Alexandra says, "Fear met." I love that. Let's leave those things behind, ladies. Let's leave them behind. Andrea says, "I just love listening to you, Sasha." I know. I love her energy. Isn't it bubbly and happy? Like I just it makes me smile every time I hear your voice, Sasha. You're just so soft and so sweet and so feminine and just magnetic. Alexandra, a different Alexandra M says, "I want to leave behind feeling like the victim or like people's behaviors are a reflection of me or my worth." Boy, am I celebrating that with you, Alexandra. Totally and completely celebrating that. I'm sure you are not alone in that. And there are so many relatable things in that. Shannon L says, I'm leaving behind complaining, looking for evidence of bad things, hypervigilance, negative self talk, fear of expressing my desires, and trying to manage others' emotions. I love, love, love that. I love that, Shannon. There's so much juice in there. There's so much depth in those things. And I can tell that you've really put some thought into it and you've been working on it already. I know since I know you. And you're doing all of those things a little at a time with love and compassion. That's how we do it, ladies. And Chancey says, I'm done chasing too. Me too. I went back into chasing during my like trauma section last year, a lot more than I have in since the skills and like 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm done chasing too. I'll claim that one with you ladies. Linda says, I stopped chasing and I'm seeing results. I'm breaking the habit. Yay, Linda, look at you, like celebrating yourself again. That focus, that's magnetic. Sasha says, thank you, ladies. And Beth says, sorry, I'm having tech difficulties. No worries. No worries, Beth, especially I know a lot of us still have a lot of snow on the ground. So that has made my internet a little more persnickety, right? Sasha says, same. I don't want to chase. I love that. I love that. So beautiful, ladies. Thank you for sharing. And, my guess is that other things, other stories that you might be ready to stop telling yourself or about your partner or about life, right? That they're going to continue to come once we open up kind of this Pandora's box. So keep adding to it. Keep adding to it. All right. Let's see what's next for us. All right. So there is a release practice, and so for me, when I'm doing any kind of visioning or anything of that nature, it definitely helps me to somatically put it into my body if I do some kind of almost line in the sand. So I actually, when I wrote this out for myself, um, I wrote it out and I burnt it. So if you feel like in your body, like if that's almost from a line in the sand, or you can call it a ritual, you can call it this is where I'm determined to change like do my best to change things, to leave these things behind. This isn't about punishment or rejection or completion or beating ourselves up. Yet it is about really remembering. And for me, the more I can somatically put it in my body, I can remember. So if it fits for you, then I would invite you use the page in the book, or you might like rewrite it and add to it for a few days, and then burn it safely in your sink, right, where we don't start a fire. Or if burning it would draw too much attention, sometimes I can't do that because my family, I'm kind of wanting a little bit more privacy. I'll rip it up into little pieces. I'll put it down the garbage disposal. I'll do all kinds of things where I do that. I also have things that I want to release that I'm worried about, I have a God box. I call it a God box where I will write it down and I'll put it in the box. So maybe that's a bigger fit. So whatever comes up for you, then I would just invite you, do whatever feels right. Don't question it. And when you're doing it, say it to yourself. I read mine out loud and said, I release these things because they no longer belong in the space of the woman that I am becoming. So, like whatever you're saying might be for you, right? Let's see. Chancey says, I have a journal that I only write the worst experiences, emotions in, and I 100% plan to burn it when I'm done filling it up. I love that. That's amazing. I do that. Like I relinquish control with a burning little kind of somatic thing every month about what I'm leaving behind. All right. Stacy says she did that in the past and it was amazing. And Chancey says, I like the God box. I keep a list of the best moments of my life. Yeah, like you could use it for either, right? Like as a gratitude box or like I use it, it's almost like a worry box for me. If it's something I just can't seem to stop spinning, I put it in the box. It's like my symbolizing to me, I'm letting this go. Like I can't spend any more time or energy worrying about this. All right. All right. So you can also talk about what stays as you're doing it. You know, what was there anything in 2025 that was working for you that you want to carry forward? What comes up with you about those? What comes up with what you want to continue? Your growth, your learning, your healing. Maybe gratitude got a little bit easier. Maybe you found new forms of self-care. Maybe you reunited with some friends or you joined our community or a different community, right? Like I love it. I love to think about what are the things because otherwise my mind likes to go to worst case scenario because that's how it's made. What are the things you want to bring with you? And and I would invite you as you come forward with those on pages 8 and 9, the things that you're not releasing, the things that you want to keep with you, the things that you want to continue, jot them down, write some gratitude for them. Fill your heart up with the things that did go well. You know, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your pet, maybe it's the fact that there was this one day last year that you somehow out of the blue were driving down a road and you witnessed the most beautiful sunset that you have seen in a long time. Maybe there was a moment that was a beautiful act of kindness, or maybe it was a big breakthrough in your relationship. Maybe you got a new job, maybe whatever it is. What are the things that you're grateful for in 2025 that you want to acknowledge as much as the things you want to release? Because that raises our frequency, that raises our vibration. The more we can integrate those, what we loved, what we learned, what we experienced, how we grow, what we're proud of in ourselves, like even challenges that were challenges, but they also strengthened me, or surprises, like beautiful surprises. So if I've got some already coming and I'll read those, but if you are thinking about it, I would invite you to share what parts of 2025 do you want to be grateful for to bring forward into 2026? Because wisdom stays, strength stays, any of our growth, our self trust, any of the lessons that we learned, those we just continue to build on. Sasha, I'd love to hear.
I
Right.
I think that I want to bring in like slowing down. That is something that I learned in 2025, like um
Yeah.
moving slowly. Like even if it's like I'm making my tea and I'm like I'm grabbing the cup, I'm putting the tea bag in, I'm getting the water, like just like doing that in like slow mo, like just slow down because sometimes
Yeah.
I forget to do that and I'll just do things super fast. It's like everything is a rush. Like I gotta do this, gotta do that. And it's like I just need to just like nothing is an emergency. Like
Mm,
probably every single thing I'm thinking about, like it's actually not an emergency. And just kind of like taking my body out of that like um
yeah.
emergency energy, like that freak out type of energy. Yeah.
Ah, I love that. I love that you want to slow down and that you realized in 2025 that you were kind of rushing through life. And even if it's something as simple as a cup of tea, you want to bring forward that I'm making my tea and enjoying my tea with intention. And what I hear that's so beautiful about that is when we rush, like the phrase that is out there a lot that you may hear is like, I want to be a human being, like being, experiencing, aware versus a human doing. And it sounds like that intention, that slowness, that softness brings that for you. And that's beautiful. I love that. Okay, let's see. What do we have? What do we have? So Chloe says, I feel like most of 2025 was a total train wreck until I joined the community. And Linda says, same. Aw. Chloe, you have done so many amazing things. You're an amazing mom. You're absolutely gorgeous. You've had so many beautiful moments. And I hear it feels heavy today. And I'm just celebrating all the goodness and holding my vision that 2026 is going to bring you even more good stuff, right? Um, Stacy says softness, respect, gratitude, duct tape in capital letters. Laugh out loud. She says they're all staying. I love that, Stacy. Absolutely. Yeah. Duct tape. And when we find it for our face, then we'll all be a little better off, is my experience, right? And Chloe says, yes, duct tape, even though I will struggle with it. It definitely needs to stay. I love that. Yeah, and duct tape's for us, right? Duct tape's for our own peace of mind, so that we can decide how we want to show up and handle something after the fact. I can still, go say whatever it is. Yet duct tape gives me that sacred pause, that moment to acknowledge, like, am I just overreacting? Am I just like bringing something into this that's maybe not as heavy as it feels right now? I'm almost honoring my own nervous system to give it a moment to settle down so that I can decide how I want to show up. Rachel says, I want to focus on my life instead of my marriage. Don't tell myself stories, just observe and accept, looking for evidence of good things. I love that. I love that, Rachel. I love that. Linda says, this is difficult and I struggle. I do keep learning here in the community. Yeah, absolutely. We all do. Like and we all have moments, right? If you haven't listened to my videos that I did the last few weeks, 2025, I lost it, right? It was a total, you know, doo-doo show for me to some degree, one thing after another. And I never lost the skills though. I just I lost my way with myself inside. And when I was ready, they were there. And just like the first time around, they helped me find my way back. So even if you're going through a really tough moment, ladies, like it's okay. It's okay. When you're ready, they'll be there. This community is there. Linda says, the best things in 2025 are I found Laura Doyle practicing the skills and I was able to slow down my craving for PI from my husband. Yeah, those are beautiful, Linda. I'm celebrating those. Janine wants to bring forward staying on her paper, duct tape, respect, gratitude, allowing myself to feel all my feelings, staying optimistic and hopeful, and pausing before speaking. I love these things, Janine. These are amazing. I love the depth that you go to and how you think through these things. There's so many things in this. Not feeling responsible to fix or carry somebody else's emotions are definitely things that are staying. I love those, Janine. I really do. You're so amazing. I'm always so inspired when I hear your shares. So thank you. Beth says relinquishing control, learning to trust each other by being softer and giving each other the benefit of the doubt, less yelling, and learning about ouch. I love that. I love that, Beth, right? I love because I hear a beautiful vision being developed in there of peace and softness and connection. Uh, And that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Linda says, I'm still working on ouch. Yeah. Yeah. Ouch is one of the ones until I had it in my back pocket in the rearview mirror several times. Like it didn't seem to find its way up to my mouth until it eventually did. So it eventually will, ladies. Eventually will, if that's something you want to practice. Rachel says, I want to focus on my life instead of my marriage. Don't tell myself stories, just observe and accept and look for the evidence of the good things. I love those. And Linda says that's difficult and I struggle. I do want to keep learning. Yeah, we talked about, I think I went backwards for some reason. Your videos are so relatable, Michelle. Aw, thank you, Chansey. Thank you. I really never intended to make those. And when I started journaling, I was like, okay, I need to do something with this. So if one one lady finds something in them that helps her, then that gives me meaning behind everything last year. So thank you. That means a whole lot. Alexandra says, I definitely keep the deep inner work I have initiated with you. Absolutely, Alexandra. Look at all the things you've created. You are just like a beautiful, feminine, powerful, like magnetic, creative, compassionate, powerful creature. I love that. I love that. And Sasha says, and still working on ouch. Yeah, I love that. Okay, beautiful ladies. And Chancey says, ouch is such a good one. It is. It's so like, and I told the story in our community the other day, but I'll share it here too, because I know there's some other ladies here today, and there'll be others that watch the replay. My husband hurt my feelings a lot, and when we were in our breakdown, and I was wanting to say ouch. I was wanting so badly to say ouch. And the first time it actually came out of my mouth, what he had said no longer mattered to me. Honestly, it was kind of funny because I was just inside doing a happy dance that I remembered to say ouch. I was all of a sudden went into my win of celebrating. I said ouch. I actually said ouch. And then it was like the dignified response in my body of, oh, I didn't fight back. I didn't make this into a big State of the Union. Like I literally just said it and it landed. And I saw in his face, and that really wasn't what it was about. But he was confused, and we love a confused man in the community. So it's amazing. So I'm standing for all the ouches that you all might want to share this year, and hoping you don't have that many to share as well. All right. So let's go into a little bit of our vision mapping, and we can get this started today. And as I mentioned, I would invite you to keep building on this. So this is on page, and there's other things to journal in the workbook as well at your own pace of whatever fits for you. But if you go to page 11, there are different life categories. So one of the ways that I'll often do this for myself is I will start out with almost on a scale of 1 to 10, ranking major categories in my life. And in here, I just put some simple ones. So my health, my energy, my nervous system is one category. And you can separate them out in whatever makes logical sense or most importance for you. And then my relationships, I keep my relationships separate, the most important ones. And then I'll keep my community, my like friendships kind of as another bucket. Um, then also another category I have is purpose. And then there's my home. How do I want to create that? And then finances or security, if that's something that you're working on, or joy, pleasure, playfulness, everything that falls under self care. And I start out by ranking it because when I'm creating a vision and I think about a whole year, right, I can overwhelm myself. And so I will personally try to pick, and for today, we can focus on whatever it is for you. That would be my invitation. And you can go back and focus on whatever else fits for you. But I try not to focus on more than two or three when I'm creating something and then add to it. Because what in the past, what I would do would have this giant list of goals that honestly was probably perfectionistic and unachievable. Where if I focus on the two or three biggest categories for myself, at least at first, at least for a few months, make those my focus, my priority, then it's almost easier for my nervous system to digest. So as we look at our vision more clearly for 2026, it's about clarity. It's it's about not being vague about what we want to create as much as possible. It's about being conscious and aware and grounded. So if you rate those areas of your life honestly, not to judge yourself, not to create shame or disappointment, just to see, I would invite you to take a few minutes to do those. Or if you just
I was
already know it in your heart, just do it. Just choose one. Uh-oh, did someone have something to share? It went off mute for a second. I didn't see. Okay, doesn't look like anybody's off mute. And whatever comes up for you, then we're going to create feeling words about that. We're going to, how do you want to feel in that area? So for right now, I would invite you to choose just one area of focus as we finish throughout the rest of this workshop. And since this is a empowered wife community, if you want to choose your romantic relationship, great. If you want to choose your own self-care, great. Whatever fits for you. And this is not as much about goals or achieving or outcomes, right? It's let's make this my invitation would be for today, for right now, about feeling. Like, what is it that you want to feel in that area? So, if you have your one or two or three areas and you'd like to drop those in the chat, like, what are your biggest focuses the next couple of months? I would invite you to drop those in because our goal in this for me, the way I've learned psychologically my mind and our minds work is that our feelings are what drive our behaviors. So sometimes I will go for the I want to lose 25 pounds, right? And that's not really what why I want, like what I want necessarily. I want to lose 25 pounds, and the weight loss one is easy and usually relatable for most of us because of how I think it's going to make me feel after the fact. So if we reverse that before we ever create specific goals and we come up with, okay, in this category that I'm scoring as either most important to me or one of the most important, or one of the lower areas that I'm scoring that I want to focus on these next few months. For me, starting with how do I want to feel in that is easier than creating the vision just from scratch. There might be a few things I know, like I know if I envision something, I want to go on a beach vacation, but I can't get past there sometimes. But if I know I want to feel, cherished, I want to feel sensual, I want to feel adored, I want to feel peaceful, then it's so much easier for me to then think about, well, what are the things that might create that? And then I can take steps towards creating those specific items. All right. So Alexandra says joy, relationship, and my health and well-being. Love those. So on those, if you think about joy is like I'm thinking just in general, right? Like how do you want to feel in your relationship? How do you want to feel about your health and your well-being? That would be the next step. Linda says, I want to feel physically desired willingly by him. So I want to feel desired. I want to feel like I am in my body. So mind body presence, it sounds like. I want to enjoy my life instead of craving for my marriage and my husband. So I hear in there even some like relaxation and peace, possibly. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if I think about enjoying your life, what does that feel like? And then she actually puts in there, I want to feel at peace and complete. I love that. Janine says, I want to feel chosen and safe. I love that. Anyone else have anything? Or if anyone would like to share out loud, absolutely. Chloe says, I want to feel enough and loved. Yeah, there's that word, right? Enough. And what would feeling enough actually feel like if you went a layer deeper? If you thought you were enough, if you felt like you were enough, what would that feel like? Would that feel peaceful, relaxed, whole? What would that be? Chansey says, I want to feel accomplished and desired. I love those, right? Like I love those. Like I want to feel accomplished and when you get those things, yeah, we'll get to that next part. I'm imagining there's other layers in that likely too, right? Like because when my here's one of the tricky things with this. When I think about my husband and to feel desired is one of mine too, right? Well, why do I want to feel desired so bad? Why, what am I making that mean? And what do I think if my husband, because this is a big one for me, so I'm relating to this one. If my husband chases me around the bedroom and can't keep his hands off me, what am I thinking I'm going to feel there? I'm going to feel, and for me, I think about things like alive, like I'm going to feel alive, if there's a layer deeper, I would invite you ladies to think about what might be that feeling, because you can almost, when you kind of get to that word, you get it in your body. Sasha, I'd love to hear.
Okay, so I have to share this like little story that just happened
Okay,
that's like
okay.
very connected to my thing that I want to feel. It's so wild. I'm going out to lunch with my friend and she just got a tattoo and we're on this call about our visions, right, for 2026. And in the center of my vision board, I have the Bible verse from Proverbs 31 and
Mhm.
specifically the part where it talks about like um I'm forgetting the exact wording, but she speaks about like she speaks with like kindness and wisdom. And like
Mm,
mine is I want to feel dignified in like how I
mm.
show up. And she got the Proverbs 31 tattoo and just showed me while I'm on a call about visions for 2026. And that's mine. That's just so funny. It's so
I
wild.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Is that a synchronicity message or what,
Yeah,
Sasha?
I think
That
it is. We always have those little synchronicity messages too. It's amazing.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love it.
Thank you.
It's almost like a little whisper from an angel that's like, "Yes, Sasha. That's it. Yes, Sasha." I love it. I'm celebrating with you.
Thank you.
Uh, you're welcome. Let's see. Stacy says, "I want to feel secure." So secure and safe. I want to feel at peace with myself. Absolutely. And Chloe says, I want to feel safe and at peace. I love that. I love that. Chancey says, desired. I want to feel important and cherished. I want to feel loved. Beautiful ladies. Beautiful. And now here's oh, let's see. Keep dropping those in as they come to you, because if you haven't done this part right, like it might take a minute to really get to the word. Like I had a hard time getting to my words, because I had all these things I wanted to feel, like cherished, adored. I could come up with visions of him chasing me around the bedroom. I could come up with visions of romantic beach like dinners, or like whatever, or dancing in the kitchen. Like, and it took a minute before I felt it in my body to kind of come down to words, for 2026 for me. But the ones that keep sticking are like, I want to feel alive because I felt so heavy last year. I want to feel the light. Like joy didn't feel big enough. Joy was my word a few years ago, and this year joy didn't feel big enough. So when I came across the word delight, I was like, it hit me right almost in the solar plexus. I was like, oh yeah, I like that word, right? Another one that keeps coming up for me, which goes into what Sasha said, is presence. I want to feel present. Because I tend to run around like a chicken with my head cut off out on a call, right? Like I've got the list of things. I want to be present. And when I think about presence, I just feel this relaxation in my body. So beautiful, ladies, beautiful. So now the next question on this part is, why do those things matter so much to you? Why did your heart choose them? Because my why of my vision, it becomes my why, but I need to almost understand a deeper why of why are they so important to me? Why do I want to feel the light? Why do I want to feel peaceful? Like, and those don't have to be poetic. For me, it's after losing my mom last year, after losing my mother-in-law, I'm like, you know, life waits for no one, right? Like, why are these things? Why is your pursuit and your endeavor for these things so important? Why is feeling these things so important for 2026? Chancey says, invigorated, engaged, and present. Ooh, I love those. I feel those all day long, Chancey. Those are gorgeous. Let's see. Janine says, I want to feel chosen. safe. Shannon B says, I feel the exact same way. If I'm chosen, I want to feel I'm enough, desired, loved, and I'm worthy of being chosen. I think there is an element of confidence that also comes with being chosen. Yeah, like I want to feel, I'm thinking about what I'm feeling as I'm reading into this. And Shannon also put safety. I want to feel peace and trust. I think people being vulnerable brings trust and intimacy, things I want to have in my life again. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you think about, when you think about, and for me, enough is a big word. And I know we talk about that a lot in our community. Like, I want to feel enough. And I want that enoughness to be inherent inside of me, right? I don't want it to be dependent on anything else. And that's where it can get tricky with my words. And for me, that's why feeling into them, like feeling that lightness, matters so much. Linda says, I want to feel light and peaceful because I deserve them. They just feel right. I love those. Light and peaceful. Natasha says, oh, hi, Natasha. So good to see you. I want to feel safe, healthy, and strong. Beautiful. I love those. I love those. All right, ladies. And then why did your heart choose these words? Why are they important? If it fits for you, feel free to drop those in the chat or come off mute, whatever fits for you. But what is that why? Understanding the why those words are so impactful to me help me, right? Like, and it as women, sometimes it can even be a reason outside of ourselves. I want to feel those things because I want to be a good example for my kids, right? Like sometimes it's easier to go external, but why is it so important for you to create peace or relaxation or joy or feeling cherished or believing you're enough like in your life? Why is that so important? Because that's almost like a subtitle or a subtext under the words that I want to feel, that when I'm having the days where it's hard for me to access them, remembering why they're so important to me, like I wasted too many years not feeling those things. That can be a big one. There's no right or wrong with this. It's whatever feels right in your heart. Right. Alexandra said to feel alive again, not just surviving, but living fully. Yeah, I just feel that like taking life like and just like embracing everything that there is to embrace while we're in this human suit on this earth, right? Like there's so much beauty around us. And when things are heavy, it's so hard to see the beauty. It is so hard to see the beauty in this human experience sometimes. Yet it's there. Like for me, it's how do I witness the beauty, even if it's a hard day? How do I create my own little pocket of peace, even if my husband's raging around the house because he had a bad day at work? Like, how do I go back to that? Because I just want to embrace the beauty that's around me. Let's see. Stacy says, I want to create peace in myself so I can live in the moment and enjoy experiences. I love that, Stacy. Absolutely. Beautiful. And Chancey says, I feel like those things are so important because my soul knows my worth. Absolutely, Chancey. Even when we forget it, like that is a mic drop for me. Even when we forget it, even when we doubt it, there is something that just knows that it knows that it knows inside of us that we are inherently more than what we give ourselves credit for. We are meant for beauty. We're deserving of that. And that is so beautiful. Shannon says, because my heart broke in lacking these things, it became empty. I want to be full again. I hear the word complete, whole, full, embodied. Embodied comes up for me for some reason. Those are beautiful. Sasha says, I have to go, ladies. Have a lovely day. Have fun, Sasha, on your lunch. Shannon said, yes, absolutely. Chloe says, because I've never felt enough for my husband and now the safety is gone and I don't want to be fearful all the time. I feel the need to feel safe and peace will come with that. Yeah, absolutely. Feeling enough in myself, regardless. Like if we go back to our own paper, right? How do I feel like enough on my own paper? Because so much of my worth and value comes from my relationship or what's going on around me if I just kind of living without intention. And that's one of the magic pieces about having these visions. We could go back to them because life's going to happen. We're going to doubt ourselves. A bad day is going to happen. We're going to wonder if it's all for nothing. That's that's part of our experience. And then we remember. That's another word that kept coming up for me to what Chancey said. It's almost like I want to remember. I want that great remembrance of the days when I was happy and carefree. And for me, like I gotta go way back for that. Like way back, tiny, tiny kid. But I want that. I want that freedom. I want that liberation. All right. So next step for us, and this is on page 15 and 16. It's about what are those words for 2026? So whichever words so far have come up for you, I would invite you to jot those down and imagine that it's the end of 2026, or maybe it's next year and we're doing this big one again because we'll do monthly ones, like as part of the group community, to where we can come back and touch these and build upon them. But imagine it's December 2026. It's that time of year where everybody's talking about resolutions and, the holiday craze is there. And it's also a time where I can get really disappointed about what I didn't accomplish, right? And if it were December 2026 and it wasn't about what you accomplished or felt like you needed to approve or prove to yourself or somebody else or build or whatever, but how you wanted to feel, I would invite you to choose those 3 words, 1 to 3 words. It can be 1, it can be 3, and create those for yourself and consider measuring the success. Ooh, Freudian slip there. The success of 2026 based on how often did I feel joy? How often did I feel peace? What are the ways that I saw that even on the tough moments, I created that for myself? And that is what success is about, creating those feelings for ourselves. And we can have goals too. Like if you want to conquer the world and become the president, right? Go for it. Yet, like success being measured by your life experience, how you're feeling. What are those final words? Linda says, my silence is my power. Yeah, absolutely. And it can be an affirmation, it can be a couple of phrases. The simpler I can keep it, the more I can go back to it. Because on a bad day, I can go back and say, okay, I'm feeling like today really stinks. What's my word of the year? It's delight. How do I create just a tiny smidge of delight? And to what Sasha was saying earlier, it might be I'm going to go into a state of being present and make myself a cup of tea. I now am going to sit and enjoy it for 5 minutes. Did I experience a little bit of delight? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Stacy says, more peaceful, playful, and present. I love that. So at the end of 2026, I would invite you to measure your overall success for the year, at least partially, based on how much peace, playfulness, presence were you able to bring into your life. And we can go through and create like what might that look like next. Rachel says being opened and grounded, and that means I can run without being held back. It feels free. I love that, Rachel. That's beautiful. I think my relationships will deepen and I will experience my own love and energy. And my word of the year is grounded. I love that. That is absolutely beautiful. Linda says, I want to smile daily, cry freely, and not shrink from volatile language and reaction. I love that. Sounds very freeing. Sounds free, like freedom and liberation. That's beautiful, Linda. All right. And now is this part as we kind of go into the meat and the bones of what a vision usually is. I would invite you to think about if you were living from those places, those words that you're coming up from for yourself, not even yet on the bigger experiences because those will come, but what would your days look like? Your normal days. What might a normal morning look like if you were living from a place of experiencing those words? Because from there, I can create routines. I can create shifts in kind of my day to day activities or my patterns. What would your mornings look like if you were living from those words? If stress came your way and those were your intentions, those words, to live in that space as much as possible, how might you react to stress in response? What about your relationships, your partner, children, parents, friends, work? If you're living from a place of desiring to create more of those things, what might those look like differently? And what would your self talk be? One of the most challenging ones for me to change is what I say to myself 10,000 times a day on loop without even realizing it in a way that is less kind than it would be to someone that cut me off in traffic. If you were living from a place of those words that you want to experience, those feelings that you want to create in your life, how would you be talking to yourself? What would that look like? And feel free to drop in the chat. How will you bring these words, this experience, into your day to day life? And not all at once, possibly, right? Depending on your situation, but with gentleness and grace and ease and loving yourself through it. Tiny steps, 1% over time, like 1% a week or 1% a day. If you can bring 1% more of this into your life every week, a year from now, we still have what, 48 weeks left in 2026? Your life would be filled with 48 more percent of whatever your words are. That's 48% more peace and ease or relaxation or joy or presence or delight or mindfulness or any playfulness, all of the things you ladies have dropped in the chat. Think about that, just 1% more. So how can you create that in your day-to-day routines? What are the things that you could do? Alexandra K says, I would tell myself life is beautiful in all shades of gray. I love that. Absolutely. And reminding this to me would make me appreciate each moment and go through it with more softness and peacefulness. I love that. Making difficult moments more fun. Yeah, finding the beauty even in the moments that aren't perfect. I love that. Like, so something simple, right? Like I hear that 1% for you might be a mantra to start with. Life is beautiful in all shades of gray. Because if I say that to myself on at least a few times a week, then I'm gonna like notice the gray a lot more often. And I'm gonna notice it from a place of, oh, okay, there's beauty in the gray. I love that. I love that. Um, Shannon B says, I recently read something that has resonated with me. Knowledge is knowing what to say. Wisdom is knowing when to say it. Absolutely. I totally can resonate with that, right? Yeah. And Chloe said she loves that. And Linda said that's the serenity prayer. I saw it. I say it every evening. Yeah. Like give me the strength to, go from there. Absolutely. I say the serenity prayer probably a good 5 times a day. Natasha said, I would be grounding myself a lot more periods of talking to myself kindly before starting the day. I love that. Sounds like a practice for you could be, your 1% could be, I'm going to promise myself that I'm going to say something nice to myself. I'm going to say something nice to myself before my feet ever hit the ground. And Shannon B says, creating that routine, journaling and morning ritual gives me time to reflect. Absolutely. Yeah. Ladies, if you haven't ever read or done any of like the morning, like there's a Miracle Morning by Hal Enrod, and Shannon's got one she follows on Instagram where you start out the day by gifting yourself, even if it means I have to get up a few minutes earlier, a routine that I know is going to create the experience of feeling these things in my body that I want to carry through. And there's just something beautiful and grounding about doing that first thing in the morning because it starts my day off with that intention. Chloe says, I would be letting go completely of what I can't control, which would create more peace in my heart. I love that. And so, what's one thing, like an easier thing, right? Don't start with the big elephant. What's one thing that you can let go of? Because this is embodiment. This is where we create the identity of the woman that has all of these things that we're talking about. It's actually becoming her just by creating tiny little steps, tiny little steps. All right. So, and now we can get to the part where we actually create the goals. And these goals are not really about, creating pressure because the real goals come from alignment with the way we want to feel. So if you had your 1 to 3 areas, I would invite you on page 17. You can jot down your section. So maybe it was your romantic relationship. That's a focus area. What are 1 to 2 goals that you want to create for yourself? And they can be short-term goals. They can be, where you want to be by the end of the year. If you go long-term big vision, I would invite you to kind of go back and say, okay, what are some tiny steps that I can do that are going to help me get there, right? So if I want more connection, that might be I'm gonna soften my heart, try to do it from our paper, right? I'm going to soften my heart by journaling my gratitudes every day. Like, what is 1 to 2 goals that can help you create that feeling that you wanted in that focus area? And I would invite you not to make them about hustling or doing or proving or performing. Make them about the experience that you're wanting to create. If I want to be softer, how can I feel softer? I'm going to slow down. I'm going to journal. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to pray. Like, what can I commit? Like, where's my power on my paper? What can I commit to in order to help me get to this word that feels like it just vibrates in my soul, that makes me feel like, oh, yeah, that's where I want to get. That's where I want to get. Because if I find other ways to get there, then I'm still there, right? Let's see. Linda says, I want to use my silence and quietness as growth and not punishment and resentment. Absolutely. For your own personal growth and contemplation, for your own peace, for your own groundedness. It's not to show him you're mad or upset like I used to, right? Like I used to pout. I'm got to show him how bad he did. I'm just not going to talk. Usually it was the other way around, though. He was the one not talking to me when really I was hurting myself. But when I started looking at it like what you're saying, Linda, which is beautiful and so insightful, like that made a big difference. Like I'm choosing not to say something and then go back to what Shannon said up there. It's knowing when to say something. And I love that. Because remember, the things that we create as goals, we don't want the thing itself. We want what we think the thing is going to make us feel like when we get it. Whether that's security or peace or love or freedom or connection or safety or belonging or worthiness, all the things. And if you have to question yourself, like, is this the right goal for me? Go back to that word. Why do I want it? Do I think it's going to create more of this feeling that I want? and then ask it again and again and again. Stacy says, I'm creating peace by deep breathing and clearing my mind, taking walks without podcast or music, just trying to be present in the moment. I love that. There's something healing about walks and nature outside. It really is about that stillness. And I'm with you, Stacy. Like I love to listen to, I'm a multitasker, guilty. I love to listen to things on my way. Yet when I do that, like I miss the squirrels running up the trees, and I miss how pretty and fluffy and white the clouds are. And I miss that, like that there was this beautiful flower that was blooming. I miss the beauty that's all around me. So I love that. And Linda says, I'm so with you there. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So why do we want to think about these things, these goals? And then tie it to our emotion, because our why is our subconscious North Star. Whether we realize it or not, what we believe about ourselves, how we want to feel, like where we're trying to get, it can either fight us on our goals or it can help us on our goals, because our subconscious is always running the train, whether we realize it or not. But if we can tie the feeling that we want and then these actions together, then without as much effort or doing, we can create like just natural flow or motivation, more ease and courage or consistency. And it also can help with our discipline because we understand the why behind it. Why is this important? So that helps us with our resilience. All right. And if you'd like to drop any of those in the chat, feel free. And our next section is, so if I want to live my life like this, if I want this peace, this joy, this ease, this relaxation, whatever the things are, what things must I personally shift in order to create that? Because it all starts with me. Everything I'm seeing externally is some reflection of what I'm believing. Believing I'm worthy of, believing that I'm expecting, like, and I see it in action when I can shift my beliefs when they don't make sense to having faith, like even faith that my marriage was going to survive. I had no evidence for so long that should have made that my belief, but I believed in the possibility. And then my brain helped me show up in a way to receive that, to see the seeds being planted, that was happening, because the big things weren't happening yet. It was the subtle shifts. So if you think for yourself, what must you consider shifting or changing or evolving in order to create these feelings, these sensations, these goals that you have for yourself? Linda says, I want to forgive myself and him and shift the resentment quickly into gratitude. Absolutely. And forgiveness is a journey. So I would invite you to be gentle with yourself on that, right? Like I decide to forgive cerebrally, like in my brain. It takes my body somatically releasing the memory a little at a time. And I can't force that. I can't. Like it's in there. The only way that I can heal that is through meeting whatever comes up with me without trying to push it away, but loving acceptance. If you think about, like in my body, let me think of a thing that came up for me last summer that I was fighting. So when I was fighting, when I was in my trauma loop, I was fighting all of the feelings of rejection in my life, rejection from my mom, physical abuse, sexual abuse, the breakdown of my marriage. It all just came flooding in, and it became too much to deal with. And I was trying to force it to go away. And in doing that, it was like this little girl in me was saying, but I'm here. I need you to witness me. I need you to not push me away. I need you to just let me come in for a minute, not to sulk, not to wallow in it, because that's a whole different story if I let it flood me. but just let it come up. Witness it, care for it. Like I wish I would have been cared for in the moments when I create those experiences were those memories were created for me, and to just let it slowly fade. And if it needs to, it's going to come up again, right? It's going to come up. But the way I don't like overwhelm my nervous system is I just lovingly accept it with compassion as much as I possibly can in the moment. So I would love to hear like what are the things that you're shifting for yourself? What are the things you want to shift in order to create this vision? And this is page 21 if you want to come back to it later as well. Let's see how much time we have. All right. So moving on, and feel free to drop it in the chat if you're coming up with some things, and I'll go through those as well. And I want to do my best to try to be respectful of time because I tend to run over, and you ladies are so graceful. Like I appreciate that. Page 22 is about what blocks can get in our way, right? And it's about choosing faith over fear, like we were talking about earlier, like wanting these things and this like big heavy voice saying, you're not going to get that. That's silly. Like you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's not the life you're meant to have. And page 22 is about like really choosing faith over fear. How do I do that? And when I'm trying to be logical, sometimes my block isn't all the evidence I'm seeing. It isn't the circumstance that I'm living in. My block of my vision coming true is my belief in possibility. You know, my belief that I'm going to be disappointed. And in my experience, we can start fearing, wanting something, hoping for something, trusting that somehow, some way, it's all going to work out. And then we can be afraid when it comes our way. We can miss it. It might not look like we thought it was going to, so it's not the perfect version. So we have a hard time receiving it. And then it can go into, disappointment or believing we're unworthy. So for me, faith over fear sometimes isn't the faith of, it's not a factor of believing something will happen. It's allowing myself to want it in the first place because I can block it. Like I can sit and I can journal and I can dream and then I can get up and some big reality will hit me in the face really hard and then I'll start automatically blocking it. And on the very first page, there's something that resonates for me that I would invite you to consider if it resonates for you. Our faith and what we focus on every day, like how we want to feel, creating more of that for ourselves, our vision. That's a frequency. If you think about when you walk in in a room and you can either feel like the anxiety or the heaviness, or you can feel like, oh, it feels like really kind of light and peaceful in this room. Like we all have energetic fields. That's scientifically proven. My faith, my focus, that's my frequency that I'm putting out when I walk in a room or somebody experiences me. And my actual currency to create the vision that I want is whatever frequency I'm putting out. So if that is true, what I'm choosing to believe is possible and what I'm focusing on in any given moment has the ability to either call in all the things that I want closer to me or almost act as a barrier that if they dare to come my way, which I'm not really attracting them at that point, I'm going to miss them. I'm not even going to see them. So this is more about being open to possibilities. It's about choosing faith over fear and allowing myself to want the things that I want. And then through that, creating that frequency, allowing myself to receive what comes my way, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not exactly what I want it to be yet, allowing myself to receive. because that allows me to have hope. I can build on hope. If I can find hope, I can build on hope. And if I can find my hope, then I can allow myself to trust that if these things can happen, if these things can happen, then I can trust that even greater things are going to happen. They're going to happen too. They're going to come my way. So the prompt for this one, so that in 2026, you're choosing faith over fear. What fear do you want to release? What fear do you want to release? Alexandra said, I need to stop thinking that he is done forever and that he will not come back. I love that, Alexandra. Because we don't know, right? Like, if that's the frequency we're putting out, like, how many times did something that we didn't see coming happen? And it, we tend to remember the harder things that we didn't see coming. How many beautiful things, right? Like, I certainly didn't see myself getting pregnant at 33 or 34 with my 17-year-old, right? Like, I didn't see that, but I sure did. And what a blessing that was. Chloe says, yes, I want to let go of the fear that he will never stop with OW, that he will never be honest. Absolutely. And imagine, I would invite us to imagine that fear, because the fear is going to come up. It's not about beating ourselves up or trying to be perfect with not being afraid. It's about noticing that the fear is there, meeting that fear with loving compassion, and then inviting it to go sit in a chair because you're choosing your faith. You're choosing to now let that fear, because that fear comes from uncertainty. You sit in a chair. I imagine my fear is a gremlin. I literally like sit the fear in a chair, and then I think about, well, what is it that I'm wanting to create this year? I want to create delight. Okay, so how can, in this very moment, can I create some delight? Laura says, I want to let go of the fear that he will never stop with you. No. Oh, Laura says, I hear you about this one. I also want to stop thinking he will never be faithful or honest to me and us. I hear you, Laura, right? Like, so the question is, what are the things, like, this is all tying together now as part of your vision in order to create that frequency that you want, peace, joy, mindfulness, whatever your words were, when that fear comes up, like, what are the things you can do for yourself? I invite you to like jot down 1, 2, 3 things that when fear comes up, you can sit it in the chair. You can park it there. It'll be there waiting for you. Don't worry. Fear is gonna like, and eventually it's like the big gremlin gets to be smaller and smaller and smaller in my experience, the more I do this. But I park the gremlin fear in the chair and I go off and I'm like, how can I create a little bit of joy? And sometimes we can look at that as like avoidance. For me, that's not avoidance. That's me choosing how I want to experience my day. This thing can be happening over here, and fear can be sitting in the chair, and I can still choose to go be mindful. I can still choose to go do an activity that will bring me presence. I can still choose to find something, even if it's the serenity prayer, to what one of the ladies said earlier, to give me a moment of peace. And in that, I'm opening myself up just with that to having a frequency more of faith and possibility. It can find me there. It can find me. Rachel said, I need to stop fearing that I need his approval or acceptance to be fully alive. I love that. That's absolutely beautiful. And Laura said in return, I relate to this as well. I hold myself back in personal goals and desires because I feel held back from my marriage. And I can change that, at least at some of these things. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That is empowerment, Laura. I love that. His response is on his paper. I don't do things because he complains, but I need to let go of fear of his reply. I love that. I'm just celebrating you right now, Laura. That is beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's one step at a time, 1%. Like, right? Like, the fear is going to come up. We can't stop emotion from coming up. That's like automatic. That's an auto. That's unfortunately emotions coming up are they're on automatic pilot in our body. But once we notice them, we can choose to show up how differently. Laura said, I like the 1% idea. It's so small, but any progress is still progress. Absolutely. 1% by the, think about how fast 2025 went when we look at it in a rearview mirror. Like even as rough as 2025 was, like it feels like it was over in a blink of an eye, even though it was hard, right? By the time we get to December of 2026, 48 weeks left in a year, 1% a week, I can have 48% more if I only go with the pace. And my experience is that if I start out with a 1% as my goal, I gain momentum and I get there faster the more I just focus on 1%. But think about how many personal goals you can create in this year. How many desires can you go after and not be held back from if you just do 1%? So I love that. All right. So as we work on closing today, then um, I would invite you, like whatever fits for you. There's a link that I dropped in our communities, and I'll drop it again later. But if you are kind of a digital like tech wizard and you like to have yours on a computer, you can create, if you don't have one, a free Canva account and go through and find images. Find images of not just the goals, though. My invitation would be find images that, like, when you look at it and you like stare at it for a few seconds, it creates in your body, like, oh, that feels really peaceful, right? And it might not be the things that you would think it would be. And so that in the images that you're looking at, that's what you're experiencing. Oh, my body goes to a moment of peace when I look at that sunset. Am I going to go out and look for sunsets on an intentional basis next year? It's not my plans, but I might, right? But if I look at an image of a sunset and that brings me, oh, this calm feeling, like our presence, like or like just natural beauty, or seeing that there is gray, even though it feels dark, there's happiness there too, you know. Or you can use Canva too, if you like the actual physical boards, to go on and get free images. There, it's $20 for the pro account, but they've got so many things on there. Or you can just do Google Images and find and Google, spend some time, make that part of your self-care, where you find, however many images you want for these focus areas in your life, and print them out if that's something you want to put on your wall. Nobody even has to know what it means, right? Like you can know what it means because when you look at it, like that's the feeling that you get. So it's not about like necessarily goals, it's about creating this feeling. It's about our identity for our vision. It's about the frequency that we want to have, about receiving and magnetizing this this energy, these feelings, these experiences back to us. And maybe some of it might be a beach house, right? Like, because I have a beach house on mine. And then the other part I would invite you to is in, if you do create a physical um, vision board. I learned this last fall from a course that I took, and I believe that there's, if I have intention behind it, that this is important. On page 23, it talks about visioning with open borders. Because when we think about all the things that can be created in our life, right? I don't necessarily know what that's going to be. And if I have closed borders, which are the way a lot of vision boards sessions that I've done in the past have taught me to do it, it's almost like create a really solid border around the thing that you're creating on your vision board, so that you're almost signifying to yourself, this is where my focus is. Well, I want those pictures and those images on my vision board because I think they're going to make me feel the way I want to feel. Yet there's so much infinite possibility that could help me feel that way. And if I make my border like really harsh, really solid, I'm not opening myself up to other possibilities. So almost as a somatic or a visual cue to myself that, yes, like God, universe, whatever your higher power is, I'm open. Surprise me. Like I'm limited by my human imagination of what's going to create these things, peace, joy, like relaxation in 2026. Like, like there is so much more in there. So I would invite you to consider leaving your border blank, just completely blank, because it's almost like leaving space for solutions or opportunities or outcomes that are better than our human imagination can even come up with. There's no limits. And that trust, that faith, that surprised me. it creates flow. It expands what is possible for us. And it also helps us relinquish control of the specific way that it might look. All right. And then one of the last sections that are in the workbook, just to show you, is gratitude in advance. So as you create this part of your vision process, whether it's just journaling or it's an actual board, I would invite you to offer up gratitude in advance. Gratitude that this is what's being created. Gratitude that I am safe today. Gratitude that I've had enough forethought to imagine this experience. Gratitude for the surprises that I can't even imagine that are going to come my way with all of this. And possibly even consider creating an affirmation that serves as the faith before evidence is ever there that it's materializing, right? Because gratitude, that's one of the most beautiful frequencies. It's love. It's love in action, right? And then page 25 is about integration. So I would invite you to ask yourself, like, what feels most important for me to remember as we're closing today? For you, like, what's your biggest takeaway? What feels like the most important thing that you want to remember as you go forward and you go back into your like regular life and the dishes are there waiting and the laundry's there, like, and then you'll pick this back up hopefully in like maybe you'll do it now, maybe it'll be a few days to get some images, but what do you want to imprint in your heart is the most important thing that you want to remember for yourself as you move forward with your vision in 2026. Feel free to drop that in the chat. And as you do that, let me see if there's anything else on here. Right. Yeah. On page 26, it really is kind of my vision and my hope that for you, like that you remember, you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not late, you're not failing, you are becoming. Your life is responding to who you're becoming, like this frequency, these words, these feelings that we want to create. And our relationships, they have no choice but to follow. They're responding to who we're becoming as well. And our future in 2026, as we claim it victorious, it's responding to who we're becoming. Choose faith over fear, choose focus over force, choose alignment over pressure or control, and that includes ourselves, pressure on ourselves. Life knows how to meet us when we meet ourselves there first. All right. So, and then it just gives the tips that we already talked about image gathering, if that's something that you want to do. All right, beautiful ladies. Let's see. Laura says faith over fear, focus over force, alignment over, what was the last one? Alignment over pressure. Or I added control, right? Because that's a skills word. All right, beautiful ladies. Our work doesn't end today. It really only begins today. My vision is that your vision will continue to evolve. Your desires will continue to grow and deepen and mature. And that's going to grow and deepen your capacity to receive all of the beauty as we claim 2026. And that clarity in what we want and how we feel, it always comes before it shows up. And alignment in that, like it magnetizes it to us. Like that alignment, that identity, that like brings it in, it manifests it. So the images can come later, the boards can come later. We can continue building on those. First, I would just invite you to find your truth, find your words, find how you want to feel, and just do it from what feels right in your heart. Focus on that. And what we focus on increases. So, and then as you do this, as you continue it, I would invite you to revisit it weekly. Like even if it's just a visual image of your board, then maybe sit down with it monthly. Is this still aligned? Do I need to add to it? Am I living out the words that I'm choosing for this year? And that could even be a daily practice as part of your self-care, like even a journaling practice if you're a journaling person. How did I create delight in my life today? And even am I choosing? Where did I choose faith over fear? And I would almost like dig for the evidence that you're doing it already. That would be my invitation so that our brains don't go to beating ourselves up. Oh, I let fear get in my way. No, where did you choose faith over fear? You chose faith over fear by journaling about it, by saying what you wanted to do different next time. And maybe a question of, am I becoming who I want to be in order to bring in all of this into my life? This is meant to be lived, not just stored away in a box. All right. So if this work speaks to you, if this process resonates, if this clarity feels powerful, and if it feels aligned, then I would invite you to invite yourself, like, what's the next step for me? What does that look like? Is it, I am going to pull out my vision board every day. I am going to ask myself these questions. And you don't have to do that alone. You don't have to navigate this transformation unsupported or carry this change by yourself. After 6 years of doing this work, I really believe that we are not meant to do this alone. Healing in community is so connecting and it brings so much more peace because we can't force change, but we can cultivate it. And we can't pressure our own growth, but we can nurture it. And we can do that if it fits for you by surrounding ourselves with each other, women who don't push or judge. We just hold each other while we rise. So as we leave today, just a reminder, January open enrollment is open for our group coaching community for 2 more days at the special pricing. If that fits for you, we would love to welcome you in. We really would. And if whatever your choice is, I just feel so much gratitude and so much inspiration to get to spend time with all of you. Thank you for being the kind, compassionate, amazing, loving, brave, courageous, all the things women who dare to believe and then are not just daring to believe, you're committed to taking the steps to follow through to change your lives. Because when you do that, when you change your life, you change your family's life. You inspire the people around you that are all blessed to be part of your life. And it all just grows. And that's the way to give back. So, sending you all my love and inviting you not to give up because your miracle could be right around the corner. So, sending you lots and lots of love. And you are very welcome, Alexandra. You're very welcome. All right, beautiful ladies. So grateful for all of you. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and I will be seeing you all really, really soon.